So, let's dive into the fascinating world of child psychology. Now, this isn't just a story about how kids grow up. Really, it's the origin story for every single one of us. It's about figuring out how we all become the people we are today. For centuries, the way we saw childhood was, well, it was simple and, frankly, just plain wrong. People thought children were just miniature, incomplete adults. But then, a totally revolutionary idea came along that changed everything. Children don't just know less than adults. Their minds work in a fundamentally different way.
And this wasn't just some minor little tweak in our thinking. The psychologist Jean Piaget was the champion of this new perspective, and his insight was so profound that Albert Einstein himself called it so simple that only a genius could have thought of it. An endorsement like that tells you this was a real game changer.
Okay, so why should any of us really care about this? Well, because understanding how a child develops is really about understanding the foundation of our own lives. It's a story that applies to absolutely everyone. So who actually needs to understand all this? You might be thinking, oh, that's for parents, maybe teachers, but the real answer is so much broader than you might expect. Of course, this knowledge is absolutely crucial for parents, for educators, and for caregivers. But honestly, beyond that, it's an incredibly powerful tool for self-reflection for all of us. It gives us a way to make sense of our own journey and the forces that shaped the person we see in the mirror. To really get a handle on that journey, psychologists break it all down into these core areas of development. So let's take a look at the fundamental building blocks. What's really happening on the inside as we grow up?
So, psychologists tend to see our development as resting on four core pillars: our physical body, our cognitive mind, our emotional world, and our social connections. Together, they form the complete puzzle of a person. Let's break them down one by one.
First up, there's physical development. And no, this isn't just about getting taller. It's about mastering our bodies, from that very first crawl to learning how to use our hands to manipulate complex things. The body is literally the first tool a child has to explore and make sense of their world. Next, we've got cognitive development, which is all about the evolution of the mind. This is where Piaget's work was such a huge deal. He showed us that a kid's thinking moves through these distinct stages, going from a world that they only understand through their senses to one where they can think abstractly and logically. It's a pretty incredible journey from just seeing to truly understanding. Then we have emotional development. We all start out completely dependent on others, right? This pillar tracks our journey toward understanding our own feelings, learning how to manage them, and eventually forming a stable identity. And the bedrock of this whole process? It's the attachment we form with our first caregivers that sets the blueprint for all of our future relationships. And that brings us to our final pillar, social development. This is all about learning how to navigate the world of other people, from our family to friends at school and out into the wider community. Our social world is where we really build our identity and figure out where we fit in. But here's what's so fascinating. These internal pillars, they don't grow in a vacuum. They are constantly being shaped by the world around us. So now, let's flip the coin and look at the powerful forces at play on the outside. And this brings us to a super important point. Our development isn't just about our DNA or some preset personality. The environment we're born into, the world that raises us, plays a massive, massive role in who we ultimately become. We can really break this external world down into three major areas. First, you've got the cultural context. This gives us our society's values and customs. Then there's the social context, which is all about our direct relationships with family and friends. And finally, you have the socioeconomic context, which can determine our access to things like good nutrition and education. Each one of these leaves its own distinct and lasting mark. So we've got these internal pillars and we've got these external forces. But the real magic happens when we see how they all connect, how they all interact and influence one another to create the full picture. See, none of these factors work alone. They're in this constant, dynamic dance with each other. For instance, some of the challenges that come with a low socioeconomic status can sometimes be balanced out by the strength of a really supportive family or a strong community. It's this constant balancing act between all these different influences. So, when you boil it all down, a child's development isn't one simple story. It's this beautiful, complex puzzle, and it's assembled piece by piece from both their inner world, physical, cognitive, and emotional, and their outer world of culture, family, and society. So, I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. As you think back on your own life, what pieces of this puzzle really stand out for you? What internal strengths and what external forces combined to shape the unique person you are today? It's a pretty powerful way to start understanding your own story.